That's right, people. You're now back. It's that time of the week again. You're tuned in live right now with me, and we're going to be getting ready to jam right now. And that's right, we're jamming right now with myself, Hadi Nakwi, and my special guest who I'm honored to have, Ajay Nayar. Now, again, Ajay Nayar is not only just a fellow mortgage advisor, but he's an actor and a producer as well, and very accomplished in many areas. And again, if you have any questions regarding acting, producing, getting the script made, or bridging loans, development finance. We're going to be covering a lot of areas today. And again, I'm very, very proud and honored to be having Ajay by my side here. I'm going to be monitoring any questions that are going to be coming through on the app. So, guys, get your questions in. If you want to share this out, share it out. Ajay, if you'd like to hit the share button as well on the actual Facebook, you can also share out to your group. And, away we go. So let's put that in. And so, Ajay, thank you. So I'll wait till you're done. In the meantime, if guys got,
I don't even know how to do this.
Okay, right. So basically, you just go to my Facebook group, and then there'll be a share button in there. When you scroll down, you'll see us guys on there.
Yep.
And the good thing about this is that now we've got captions that are being put in there. So anyone who's hard of hearing or doesn't like the sound of my voice, but would like to read what we're saying, you can now actually read what we're saying. Amazing. I like this Facebook update. So in the meantime, grab yourself a cup of coffee as well. One for the working man.
All right. I'm good. I'm done.
Okay, so here we go. Ajay, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I really appreciate this. I know how hard you're working, guys. Really well and truly honest. I actually met Ajay from Big Business Network. Big Business events. Yeah, and this is where I was learning about Facebook advertising from Adam Stott, the business coach, and Ajay has been one of the sort of founders of it, to the best of my knowledge, and more importantly.
Yeah, so Adam started the business. There were the three of us kind of involved from the beginning. Lee McQueen, who won the Apprentice back in 2012 or something like that, and myself. It was Adam's business, and we kind of started it with him, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it still is, because the business is still growing, and more importantly, people are still getting value out of being part of that big business events group, which I'm still a part of as well. So I do like it. Now, again, I'm going to be open and honest up front and first and foremost. This is the first time I'm interviewing someone of your caliber who, who's an actor, a producer, mortgage advisor, someone who is really good at time management and is able to follow through with many of their passions.
I try.
Yeah. So again, this is going to be quite a nice event tonight. So guys, if you got anything that you want to ask about diary management as well, Ajay is here today. So Ajay, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
So born and raised in London, in West London, in Osterley.
Okay. Yeah, near Heathrow.
And then and then kind of moved inwards further into London, into Ealing, and then university. Then I actually moved over to Toronto for a little bit, then came back to England. And when I came back to England is when I actually started mortgages. Started mortgages in 2007, and then 2008 I moved to LA. I was in LA for 3 years, and then I was in New York for 6 months, and then I moved back to England because I met a girl and didn't go back.
Yeah, of course. as it always goes. But wow, okay. I started in mortgages at 2007 as well. I actually got my qualification in 2006 in October, then got in to a place of work in December, and that's when I started my journey there. So we're very, very similar. In terms of how long we've been in mortgages.
Yeah.
Okay, so what made you get into the acting side of things?
So I started acting as a kid. It was initially school and then local theatres and things like that. We're talking like even at 3-4 years old, those old nativity plays and things like that. Started doing that, and then moved on to slightly bigger things such as little pantomimes like Dick Whittington and what else did I do? Cinderella, loads of different bits and pieces. But it was one of my biggest passions ever. I absolutely loved it, and it was something that it was almost like that dirty little secret that everyone has inside them. You know, they have this one passion in life, and it, it's difficult coming from the background that we do. So obviously, my parents are from India, and obviously moved over to England in the 70s, and it's very difficult to tell Indian parents, hey, I'm going to be an actor. You know, you almost get slapped and just say, keep dreaming and just, sit down and do your bloody work. So I never really broadcast it properly, even though I did drama at GCSE and things like that.
Yeah.
But it was around that time when I was about maybe 15, 16, that I said to my parents, I was like, you know what, I want to move to America and I want to do this. Like, I really want to do this. And it never really worked out. And then it was like university. I was like, right, I want to go over there and do it now. And again, it was kind of like, no, you can't. So I ended up doing a business and finance degree at university. And then bizarrely enough, ended up in Toronto for a marketing company, which was really, really strange because I hadn't done much marketing, but I guess it was more the personability. And I was working more on the sales side of things, so rather than the actual physical marketing side of things. But yeah, it kind of took me on a journey back and forward, and then obviously got into mortgages, and then an opportunity came in LA, and I was like, by this time I'd saved quite a fair amount of money. And I was like, you know what? I've been told no my whole life. Now no one can say no to me. And I was about 24, 25 at the time. So I applied for a visa, got the visa. So the Friday I got the visa, I think it was Friday the 7th of March.
Yeah.
And it was about 4 p.m. I just walked out the American Embassy over in London. And then Saturday morning I was on a plane. And that was that. I packed 2 suitcases. And that was that. Just moved. For me, it was like it's either go big or go home. And I've always had that inside me. It was never a case of a lot of time, a lot of fear inside. But I kind of thrived on that fear. And my dad said these amazing words to me, and he was like, "Don't ever come home unless it's for a holiday." And I was just like, right, he supports me. He's fully behind me. I'm going to do this. And so I did. And it was a case of, yes, I'm following my dreams. And I remember the first day I was ever on a movie set. My first film that I ever did was in 2009, and it was the most amazing feeling I'd ever experienced. And I was like, I was born for this. This is what I've got to do for the rest of my life. And so that's how my acting career started. And then it was about a year after that, again, whilst in LA, I kind of fell into producing as well. And the producing side of things came quite easily because of my business and finance background. So a lot of it is figures, budgets, and it's managing, massive amounts of people. My last film that I did, we shot in 2018 here in the UK. Well, we partially shot in the US, but 99% of it was here. And at any given time, I had about 60 people on set that essentially were all working for me. Although I never like to say they're working for me, we work together, because that's essentially to make a movie, that's what it's all about. It's about bringing everyone together. Everyone has their own specialism. So whether it's the camera guys, whether it's the lighting guys, whether it's the sound guys, everyone has their own department. And as a producer, I'd never step on the toe of the lighting guy, because that's their specialism. They know what they're doing. For me, it's just like, hurry up, it's costing me money. you know what I mean? So it was one of the things I fell into, and I became really good at it. And then I started to really enjoy it. It's been, 11 years now that I've been producing, and I've got a lot of stuff on my slate. Just before COVID hit, I had some really, really, really solid plans for about the next 7 or 8 years. And I kind of got hit for 6 when COVID hit on the film side of things, because a lot of the funding was then pulled. A lot of our investors were like, we're out, and come back to us when this is all over. I'm trying to rekindle those relationships again, and no issues. Like, speaking on the phone quite regularly, Skype calls, Zoom calls, and all the rest of it. But it has become a little bit difficult with COVID. So I kind of, haven't completely taken a step back, but it's almost taken a step back just to wait and see what happens. Yes, film sets are back in full flow again.
Yeah.
TV sets are back in full flow, but there's a lot of, I guess a lot of people are still scared. Social distancing, and it's difficult when you're making movies to social distance because you're all kind of almost on top of each other.
Yeah.
On a film set. So yeah, it's one of those things where kind of just taking it easy for a little bit, and we'll kind of let it unfold as it unfolds and see what happens.
And I suppose that's again listening to all the reports which have been coming out about Picard season 2 and things like that. Insurance is one of the big issues. Who's looking to actually insure the set for various issues? Coronavirus is one of the big ones. But if any staff member gets it who's not in front of the camera, they'll wrap it up. And even if those actors in front of the camera get it, they'll wrap it up. So it's a very sensitive area, that's for sure.
It is. I'm very entrepreneurial. I almost want to set up an insurance company for this reason.
Don't worry, I actually have it. Yeah, so it is there. There's guys out there that will look to do that kind of thing. Again, a very similar shared sort of background. With what we both have, so it's following our passions that goes through, and again, once we got to a certain status, because of our background, being told, look, you really shouldn't follow this, you should follow this sort of path and go down this road, and then suddenly you find your own way and you find your own passion. No one can hold you back. But what then tends to happen is that you go so into it, it engulfs you, and engulfs your time. So how did you manage your time with obviously your passions and something that you really find passionate in terms of the mortgage market as well?
Yeah, so when I moved back to England, it was initially it was okay. I just want to focus on film and television. That's because I love it so much. And in the back of my mind, I always had it. I was like, you know what? I kind of miss being in mortgages because for me, again, as you mentioned, it's a massive passion for me because on the one hand, yes, with standard residential mortgages and everything, you're part of the potentially the largest financial transaction that any single person will ever go through, and that is a mortgage, right? They're buying a house. The largest loan they'll ever take is a mortgage. So one, you need to look after them. You need to make sure that you're almost holding their hand through the whole process to make sure that they're completely okay. But at the same time, you've got to make sure it's the most suitable product for them. And the attention to detail that we have to take is really important. But then the joy of putting these people in their homes is just, it's an amazing feeling. People say, oh, it's very selfless of you. And I was like, well, no, actually, it's not. It's very selfish because the feeling that I get out of it is amazing. That's what does it for me. The feeling when you put someone into a new home or their first home or whatever it may, or their first buy to let, whatever it may be, the joy that they go through, that's what gets me. And that's where the passion for mortgages came about. And one of the, one of the things that I thought, obviously, when I came back was like, do I want to get back into it straight away? Do I want to focus on film? What do I want to do? And of course, the girl that I met ended up marrying me. So that was quite nice. But one of the things that she said to me was, I can see it in you. You need to get back into finance. And I'd never listened to her. I just thought, you're just saying that, like, because you don't want an actor's husband. But I mean, and here's the thing, we can say it 1,000 times. Women are always right. They, whether it's your mother, whether it's your wife, whether it's your sister, they're always bloody right, and it annoys me. But she was right, and so then it wasn't until 2017 I was like, you know what, I've got to get back into this. I really have to. So I got back into it, started with a firm, and started insurance only, just to kind of wet my feet a little bit. Then got back into mortgages, and then obviously in 2019, last year November, I started Hearthstone Mortgages, and it was kind of almost out of nowhere, like kind of. It happened very, very quickly. I think it was the 15th or the 14th of November or something like that. I hit the FCA register, and I was just like, "Oh my god, it's really happening!" And then, of course, at that moment, my sister-in-law was getting married, so I flew off to Mauritius for a couple of months to do the work, be there for the wedding and all the rest of it.
Of course.
Left my wife and my baby out there for a little bit longer, and came back, and then didn't really start get going until the 3rd week of January of this year. And then it was all about, I was like, right, property investing is one of my passions as well. I do invest in property, and I have done for many years. I thought, I want to focus on property investors. And of course, as you know, with mortgage advisors, we can do pretty much all transactions. There's no real restriction in essence. But I was like, I kind of want to specialize and focus on property investors, because I invest in property. I know the deal, I know the drill, and I know the lenders. And I kind of fell into it because initially it was just limited company buy-to-let mortgages. And then I kind of fell into bridging. And then, a lot of clients needed to bridge. And then a lot of clients were doing developments. And so we started doing development finance. And then, clients started thinking of really interesting ways to raise capital in order to invest in property. And they would come to me, just ask for my advice as a property investor. And then they would end up becoming clients, because they were like, well, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Can you help us with that as a mortgage advisor? And I was like, well, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I always give them the caveat. I was like, listen, there's a massive line, right? It's not even a thin line. It's a huge central reservation and a dual carriageway between me being a property investor and me being a mortgage advisor.
Yeah.
My advice as a property investor is not advice that I'm giving you as a mortgage advisor. I'm giving you experiences as a property investor. I'm not giving you advice, right? So I'm not telling you how to invest. I'm not giving you investment advice at all. I'm giving you experiences of what I've been through as a property investor. And I think that's what clients started to appreciate. And they were just like, you've been through that. We're now going through that. Can you help us with the lending side of things? So then it's a case of me saying, right, if I'm your mortgage advisor, or your bridging broker, commercial broker, development broker, whatever it may be, you need to understand, I will stop giving you my experiences as a property investor. Well, I'll give you the experiences, but again, that line of giving investment advice, I'm not giving you investment advice at all, because I'm not qualified to do so. And then obviously clients are like, well, off the record then. And it's just like, well, it doesn't work that way. I'm regulated by the FCA, and the FCA are very, very strict on the regulations they place on us. So we need to understand there's a massive difference between me being a property investor and me being a mortgage advisor. So some clients get a little bit wound up by it. And I was like, well, I'm happy to give you my experiences as an investor. However, if you engage me as your advisor, I'm advising you on the finance side only, the mortgages or the bridging loan or the commercial loan, whatever it may be. That's what I'm advising you on. I think I've nailed it. I think I've kind of hit, because the more you do it, and the more you really emphasize to clients that you need to understand the difference between me being a property investor and mortgage advisor. But a lot of the times, a lot of clients, they don't even know I invest in property. And so we don't even used to talk about it. But it's generally when they approach me as a property investor in the first instance, and then become a mortgage client, that you've got to really be careful of how to differentiate between the two.
Which is absolutely true. You need to have those disciplines in place, and not be able to cross over the disciplines. Otherwise, you can have that conflict of interest, which I fully understand and appreciate. Guys, if you're enjoying the content on here, please give us a like. Let us know you're watching. Let us know you're enjoying this. If you don't like my hairstyle, please give me a hate as well. I fully appreciate that too. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, again, you've got the benefit of Ajay's knowledge, his wisdom, his experience. Tap into it. This is one of the benefits of being part of this group, is that you're getting someone here who's not only walking the walk, but talking the talk as well. He walks the talk. So use that. Use this now as your time. And again, if you're watching this on the replay, fire in a question. Doesn't matter. We'll be able to get these things answered, and I'm pretty sure Jay will be more than happy to give his advice and knowledge on this.
Absolutely.
So you looked in terms of just getting back to things now. So you looked in terms of two real big areas of finance, which is development, again, which is as well as bridging, dealing with buy-to-lets and limited companies as well as auction properties. What have you found has been your sort of biggest misconceptions about not bridging, but development finance? So when people
So
approach you, what do they say?
yeah, so what I found is property investors don't necessarily understand how, well, I say property investors, property investors, property developers, two different things. Um, property investors tend not to understand the full concept of development finance. Development finance is probably the best tool if you're becoming a property developer. The misconception is, oh, I've got an extension to do on my house, I'm going to get development finance on it. Kind of doesn't work that way. For that sort of thing, you'd probably take a further advance with your existing mortgage advisor. Sorry, your existing mortgage lender. You take a further advance with them and just say, look, I need to borrow 60k extra on top of my mortgage because I'm going to build a massive extension on the back of my house. Mortgage lender will be like, oh, amazing, you're going to add value to that house. So yeah, we'll be happy to lend it as long as we believe that the security is still low risk for us, and you can afford the additional money that you're trying to borrow. So that's fine. So development finance can be used for multiple different reasons. And two of the main reasons are, or three, you buy a house that's in complete disrepair. It's unmortgageable, no kitchen, no bathroom, all the rest of it. So what the lender will do is they'll say, right, how much do you think it will cost you to get that property into a perfect condition? And you say, right, okay, let's say we've found a property in Liverpool or something. They say, right, this property will cost me about £55,000 and I'll get it into a perfect condition. It'll be worth about £110,000, £120,000 at the end of it. It's like, well, how much are you buying it for? So I'm buying it for £20,000. Right? You can't get a mortgage on a house that's £20,000, let alone if it's in disrepair. So you've got to get a bridging loan. So what the development finance company will say is like, right, we'll give you 100% of that development finance, and then potentially something towards the purchase as well. Or if not, that's your skin in the game. You've got to do the purchase and we'll pay for the refurb kind of thing. So that's one aspect of development finance. Another aspect is ground up development. You've got a plot of land and you're building however many units as you want, or a lot of things that are happening right now. One of the main things is people buying corner plots. They're buying corner semi-detached and then splitting the title and then building a brand new detached house on that corner. That's a big one. I don't even know how many of those I'm doing at the moment, but that seems to be one of the strategies that developers are using at the moment. And then, of course, you've got your conversions. So it could be a house into 4 flats. It could be a massive commercial building into 10 flats, whatever it may be. And of course, you're not just going to get that kind of development, that side of development finance when we're looking at the bigger deals. You're not just going to get development finance from any lender. You need to have a track record. They need to see what you've done before in order to get anything like that. And obviously, having access to those lenders as we do, we're almost presenting a case to the lender and saying, right, this is why I think this client will be a good case for you. And lenders are in the business of making money. Like, that's it. That is what their business is. They're in the business of making money. How do they make their money? They charge you interest, right? It's not, they're not here to do you a favor or to help you go through things. And it's, it's interesting because, a lot of investors, they don't always understand that lenders are there to make money, and you have to be as low risk as possible to them. They don't want a risky client because they're not in the property investment game, right? They don't want to have to repossess that property, because they're not investors. They're lenders, and they make their money on lending money. So that's what I tend to find. A lot of people don't always understand the development side of things. So yeah, you're looking at residential side and you're looking commercial side.
Yeah, the amount of times I've actually had that with development as well. Yeah, I found a house, I want to develop it, I want to turn it into a couple of flats. That's absolutely fine. You know, that might not be the right finance that you need. You know, that kind of thing. Or the best one is loft extension, or like what you said, extension on the back of the house. So we go a different route with that. It's not going to be development finance because they're not geared up for that kind of financing. Um,
Well, I mean, you can get some regulated loans, but
yeah,
that's a whole
that's
different kettle of fish.
that, yeah, that's a different, yeah. And again, you know, whether that's second charge or whether that's further advance or whether that's, you know, just remortgaging, those are
Mm,
all different areas of advice. But development finance as a you know, it is like what you said, one of the bigger financial transactions which is out there because you're putting it into bricks and mortar,
mm.
and therefore it's a physical, tangible asset where the bank is going to always feel that there's going to be a good rate of return at one point or another. But again, it has to be the right property. It can't be something which is just, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
because you have to factor in that the bank has to make their money.
mhm,
Once the bank has made their money, only then do you make money,
yeah,
right? So if you're working on your figures and your figures um, don't fit the fact that the lender has made their money and then there's more for you left over, it's not a deal. Don't
mm,
do it. I know I see a lot of people always trying to make it a deal when it's not a deal. And I've had to say to clients who've called me and said, "Oh, I've got this amazing deal," and blah blah blah. I said, "Okay, let's run through the figures and let's see what we can possibly get from lenders." Blah blah. And I look at it, and I'm just like, "Oh, so you realise there's no profit in that? Like add up the figure. There's is it worth your time? There doesn't seem to be any profit in that. I can go to a lender, and the lender will probably look at it and say, well, what if something goes wrong? How will we get our money back? And so so obviously we do work for the lender and we do work for the client.
yeah.
Um, and
Hence why we're
so
intermediaries. That's the
exactly that. And it's another reason why I don't always like the word broker, because we're advisors, right? We're
yeah,
qualified as mortgage advisors.
yeah,
We give advice, and the advice that we give is first and foremost what we do. The very last thing that we do in the entire transaction is brokering the deal.
mm,
So that's why, when people throw around the word broker, I'm just like, well, I get that we broker the deal, but we're also advisors, and it's really important to listen to the advice that we give, because that's our job. That's what we're there to do. And when you get a lot of people who just get excited because they're ready, they're ready to do this deal, and I get it. I understand it. It makes complete sense. Of course you're going to be excited when you've got this deal, but if the maths doesn't add up, um, I can almost always see. I was like, well, the lender's going to look at this and say, right, the profit margin in that is very, very minuscule. If something goes wrong, how will we get our money back? We don't want to repossess the property. We're not the property investment game. Um, but then if they do have to repossess a property, it can become very, very messy.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
and so,
especially with
and then
the,
also becomes
yeah, legal charges and
becomes
stuff like that.
absolutely becomes very messy for the client as well.
Mm.
So I always say, right, don't turn it into a deal for the sake of turning it into a deal.
See, we both have the similar kinds of well, I think most advisors will have the same kind of um, challenges would be the best way of putting it, especially if you're looking at the buy-to-let market as well, because you try and make the deal fit with the rental calculations that are there at the time. And again, surveyors can go in and down value very quickly. Either they'll down value the property in terms of its
Mm.
value or the rental value. And either way, that'll have a massive effect on what you can get as a mortgage. Now, just divert for a little bit, Robert and Samuel, thanks for joining in, for watching. Abdul, thank you for joining in and watching. Abdul Malik has given us two comments. The best thing you've said about property development is the best and commercial purchases. I was in property for 15 years, specializing in lease purchases, and only person who benefits is your rich uncle, your bank manager. He's kind of right there.
Well, yeah, that was my point about, the lender has to make their money, and then you have to make your money. So
Yeah,
so it's always
because
the
they have
lender who
first
makes their
charge.
money first. Yeah, absolutely. So the
That
lender
that's
always
that.
makes their money first, and then you have to
Yeah,
make your money. So that's why you always have to factor in the cost of money. How much is borrowing that money going to cost you?
yeah.
And if there's not enough of a buffer at the end of that, then it's not a deal.
Well, he's actually given us an example in the second comment, which is I had a property for 20 years and lived on the rental income. Now the mortgage expires in 2020. I have to find another £700,000 to pay the bank. From my experience, this is not good leverage, and hence why I went into network marketing where leverage is excellent. That's, again, network marketing versus any, if it's a business that works for you, absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. From my point of view, or from any kind of investor's point of view, or financial advisor's point of view, they'll always say to diversify. In other words, have multiple streams of income. Don't rely upon one. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, he has over 52 businesses, and if four of them fail, like Trump University or whatever, he's got the rest that are still carrying them forward. He may
Absolutely,
not be directly involved in it, but he's still getting it. That's not saying I'm a Trump supporter. I'm just using him as an example. I could have used Warren Buffett or someone else there. Sorry, guys. But
No,
yeah,
I completely get that. So, I mean, he says he's got to find £700,000 to pay the bank. I'm assuming that's interest-only mortgage.
that's
Seven hundred
most likely
thousand
going to be
pounds.
interest only.
So, I mean, in that instance, it's not about finding £700,000. It's about you sell that property, and whatever equity is in there, you can have. Because I'm assuming it wouldn't be leveraged more than 75% loan to value in most cases. So if 75% loan to value is 700 grand, you're looking at a good £220,000 for the remainder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a good chunk of change to live off.
Yeah, exactly. A real good chunk of change. And again, we've had various people on here. Some of them have been property experts in terms of strategizing, some of them been surveyors, and they've all given their little hints and tips. But again, I think something like this would be a little bit more better to talk about outside of the interview, because it then goes into the realm of advising. And again, without doing the necessary due diligence, giving advice is
It's
going to be always going to be
impossible.
tough.
Yeah, I always say to clients, like, "Oh, how much can I borrow?" It's like your question is the most broad question. I probably need to ask you about 85 questions, get answers from you before I can give you any advice. Because if I don't understand the situation totally, how is it possible for me to give you advice? That's why I find it funny in a lot of forums where people are like, "Oh, what's the best rate?" And it's like, well, what's the deal? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, there are rates. For example, we use buy to lets. There are rates between 1.2% up to 6.5%. And it all comes down to what your particular situation is. And the only way that we can find the most suitable product for you is by asking you as many questions as you can probably fathom is possible to be asked, which is why we go through our fact-finding process, is because we need to gather every financial aspect of your life and the deal and the property, whatever it may be, to actually give any advice. So that's one of the first education bits that I like to give investors or home buyers or anything like that. It's like, you know what? Don't ask a broad question. Sit down with an advisor and talk to them properly. Because if you're not talking to advisors and you're going on Money Supermarket and all this kind of thing, you're going to see. I mean, I get it all the time. So,
Oh
I
God,
went
yeah,
on Money
that's fine as
Supermarket
well.
and I found this deal for 1.19%. I was like, that's great, but that's for 60% loan to value in your personal name. You're buying in a limited company and you're at 75% loan to value. So the best you're going to get is probably 2.9 something. But again, that depends on the property. It depends on your rental coverage. I mean, there's so many different aspects to buying a
I have,
property that go into it. As you know, it's amazing that I call them Del Boy
yeah.
because they're trying to like make a quick buck or find wheel and deal and find an angle, and it's just like, you know what, it doesn't work that way.
I have, again, from me, speaking in my sort of professional capacity as well, I've actually had exactly the same kind of clients,
Mm.
and they've always been, I've got this property, it's really good. I know I can get a great deal on it. What can you do for me? Okay, well, I have to gather you information first, because if I don't gather you information, then I'm going to be going backwards and forwards with the lender gathering that information, because they going to want to know about you,
Absolutely.
your experience. Because again, that's part and parcel of the commercial finance realm, as an example. What's your experience? What's your background? How do we know that you're going to be successful at this realm? Are you coming in with different partners? Is it going to be shareholders?
Mm.
the work that we do as advisors, when we're trying to not just find the lender, but find out about the client as well.
Yeah.
It,
I always
we,
say, look, we're on your side, right? We work with you.
mm,
We're here to help you. We're here to advise you. We're here to find the most suitable and most appropriate product
yeah,
that benefits exactly your situation, your needs, right? So work with us. Don't work
don't
against it.
work against us.
The amount of times the amount of time, so you'll ask 30 questions and you'll get answers to 4. And it's like, or do I need to give that? I was like, I wouldn't ask it if I didn't need that information. And it baffles me. Some people, oh, but why is the lender charging an application fee? Why is the lender they're charging me £200 just to apply? Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
why are they doing that? It's their prerogative.
and they can,
Yeah.
and they know
If they
they've got
want,
you by the, yeah,
if they want to do it, they can do it. It's that's their prerogative. Absolutely.
and having to be that middle guy for the lenders as well. That to actually make sure that we relay their message properly across, because they're talking jargon, half of them. When we're doing, again, I'm turning this away from you into us as a
That's
group
fine.
therapy session. But from an advisor perspective, there's many things that you're saying right now that I'm just thinking, right, I've had that with this client, I've had that with this client, I've had that with this client. We've had shared experiences, hell, even down to the whole, doing GCSE at drama kind of thing, except that you went out to the USA
Yeah.
and I stayed in the UK and started to do things with the British professional wrestling industry. So
Wrestling.
yeah,
Amazing.
I know. Tell me about it. But that's a different story altogether. But I do put that in there all the time in these things, just to show that, look, we do have a life outside of this, and we're trying to do what we can to help people develop their lives as well, and
Mm.
give them a situation where their dream home doesn't become their nightmare. They can
Right.
afford things. They can have a good life, and they can enjoy it. Like what you was telling me a bit earlier. The joy and the benefit of being a advisor is that you help people.
Yeah,
You
absolutely. I mean,
and you help them whether it's
and it's funny
go on.
because obviously, so I looked at, when my wife and I, before we got married, we decided to look for a house, our first house together.
Yeah.
We both owned our own properties, but it was, we're finding our own house together. And going through the whole process, finding the right house, and then arranging the mortgage, and of course, like that's my background, so I know what to do.
Mm.
But even her, like I remember her face when we walked into that house, and I was like, if we weren't able to get that mortgage, we wouldn't have been able to move into this house, and her face wouldn't have been glowing, and she wouldn't have been so happy. And I remember, we still didn't have furniture, and we had one bed, and
Mm.
that was it. And it was sitting on the floor in front of the TV eating whatever we were eating, and it was an amazing experience just
Yeah.
to start with. And then fast forward a couple of years, and we kind of bought our forever home sort of thing. It was the same thing, like the look
Yeah.
on her face, the joy that she went through, and for me being able to you know, sort out the mortgage and everything like that, and get us into that house. It made her so happy. I mean, she doesn't understand about mortgages. She's a tax advisor. She specialises in VAT, so
Mm.
she doesn't really know the mortgage side of things. Although she's getting to know it a little bit more, because try and educate her a little bit more
Yeah.
about it, so she understands. And she's always like, oh, what can we do with this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And she's always looking for different things. And she's now investing in property, which is great. Teaching her out, what to do and how to do it. And she's looked at the properties that I've bought in the past, and then we started buying a couple of buy-to-lets together. But that joy that she goes through, like even when she bought the first investment property on her own, like without me. Yes, I did all the work, but she, when she got those keys and she was now proud owner of this new property, she was delighted. And I was like, if I wasn't able to do what I do, I wouldn't see that joy on her face, and that's what makes me who I am. That's what makes me wake up every single day.
While I've got you on here as well, again, we've got 20 minutes. Guys, if you're watching this, let us know that you're enjoying the content. Let us know, this is for your benefit. Give us a like, give us a comment, give us a question. Ajay's here. He's here to help you. It's not all about me. I'm not going to be making this a group therapy thing. It's about Ajay. And again, it's a massive benefit to have you here tonight as well on this basis. Now we will also going to talk about bridge loans, but before we do that, just basically any kind of advice that you would give to clients. I think you would agree with me when I would say it's best to have everything prepared beforehand, before you go out looking for properties, such as your
Yeah.
finances, your documentation, like your bank statements, those kinds of things. And
Yeah, I do a podcast on it's actually on my website, and I talk about getting mortgage ready. And I think it's one of the most important factors of anyone's property buying journey. I say, if before you even think about buying property, or before you even think about looking for a property, call your advisor straight away. First thing you should do, call the advisor. Make sure you get all your ducks in a row. Make sure you're prepared for what's to come. Um, the worst thing that can happen is you get a phone call from a client. It's like, oh, I just had my offer accepted, and the estate agent wants proof of funds. And it's like, okay, we've got to go through a fact find. We've got to go through all your documents. We've got to go through, absolutely everything before I can find the lender. Once I found the lender, then I can come back to you and present you with what I found, what's most suitable for you. Now that we found the lender, are you happy with this product? You're happy? This is why I've chosen this product. This is why I recommend this product. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so from there, then I go back to that lender and I say, right, we're now ready to proceed to application. You apply, all the rest of it. It's like, that takes time. So
yeah,
throwing an advisor in the deep end at that moment, it's like, and then obviously in today's day and age with the backlog and post COVID, where lenders are taking, some lenders are taking up to 4 weeks to even look at an application, let alone get an offer out. I remember an amazing situation just before COVID where I had an offer from a lender within 4 hours. I was like, this is amazing.
good old days.
And I was, yeah,
they were brilliant.
and right now it's you can barely get through the application process within 4 hours, let alone have anyone look at it, because the backlog is just unbelievable.
And not just that,
lenders,
there's a lot more questions about COVID and
yeah,
furlough,
yeah,
and those kind
absolutely.
of questions are throwing everyone out because they're changing it mid-application, which makes it far more difficult to get anything through. But in terms of your time, before you even get to the application process, when you're doing your research, when you're doing your fact find, or information gathering session, or whatever you would like to call it, that would make the client feel, more at ease. How much time would you say in hours did it normally take you to deal with one client before getting to the application stage?
It's funny you say that. I met with clients today at lunchtime, and we spoke for about an hour and a half, and that was probably meeting number 4. And he's just like, and we haven't even found the right lender yet, because we're gathering all the information. Things change in the interim, or they change their mind in the interim. This is a commercial case that I'm working on right now with these clients, and it can take from the day that they call me, the first time they call me, I'd say probably about 3.5 hours to 4 hours before we're even ready to find the lender.
Yeah, I would say around 8 hours worth of work just to be on the safe side with a lot of people. Again, we as advisors, especially dealing with the whole of the market or dealing with niche areas like what you deal with and I deal with, the work is not the same as if you go to a bank. If you got everything nice and hunky dory, the brokers are still going to be fantastic. And I'll say brokers because we can broker the deal and go right across. But the advisors in the bank can only be restricted to the advice on the bank. If you go to the estate agents, the advisors there will have a limited panel. They may not have the whole of the market. This is where the brokers, like myself, yourself, full are becoming not brokers, but full on advisors. We're not consultants. We actually go to the entire market, find the right thing, and give that advice. And that can be between 8 to 10 hours worth of work, especially doing the research. Once you find out, like, out of the 200 different lenders out there, it could narrow down to 10. Then you have to talk to those 10 lenders individually to find out who will actually be more than happy to do that deal.
Absolutely,
and, and then when we put the charges forward, it's based upon that time that we've given. Some will charge upfront, and they're willing the rights to do so. Some will charge on application, some will charge at the end. But they will charge because someone's going to be, earning somewhere. But that is,
Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, you got to think about if we're doing 4 to 10 hours of work before we even find the right lender. I'm sorry, but I have bills to pay.
yeah,
I've got
our
to put
bills don't
food on
stop.
my table. Yeah, I find it amazing how certain people can say, well, oh, you make your money from the lender. It's like, well, yes, I do work for you and I do work for the lender. If I work for the lender pays me. If I work for you, you pay me. If you don't want to pay me, I don't work for you. Like it's as simple as that.
Mm.
I'm not a charity case.
Yeah.
And I've had multiple times where some people get quite aggressive. Or why should I pay you? It's like, well, why don't you go to work tomorrow and not get paid? How did you fancy that?
Some people are
And
like
I
that.
don't
They're
think they.
called they're called apprentices, and they like to work with Gordon Ramsay. But that's a different. uh, on that note, I've actually had Abdul give another 2 comments, and Abdul, thank you very much for this. We appreciate everything that you're doing here. So, seriously, is property investment ideal, or would you select another program? Property is a long capital growth, is a very long capital growth only. And do you charge an offer on
Yeah,
offer?
so for me, I charge partially upfront and partially on offer.
Mhm.
So whatever my fees are, depending on the case, I would always charge a small nominal fee up front, maybe 150, 250 pounds, something along those lines.
Mm.
Um, One, it's a commitment from them to me. Two, it's a commitment from me to them because they've paid me. I'm going to go and do the work for them. Um, and three, it's a case of what I've got about 8 hours of work to do before we even get to application. So yeah, that's what I'm charging for that. That's with regards to charges. Um, is property investment ideal, or would you select another program? I mean, I love property investment. I don't look at it as capital growth. Um, I think people who look at property for capital growth are speculators. Um, yes, we know in 20 years' time, property is going to be more expensive than it is now. We
Yeah.
get that, right?
Yeah.
It's always how it's been since the beginning of time. But I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for cash flow. I'm in it for what hits my bank account every month. Yeah. So and that's why I invest up north. I will never ever invest anywhere below the Midlands. I just won't do it.
It's funny you said that. That was one of my very first Facebook lives. Where would you invest? And it was the North. The North is going to give the most in terms of rental income as opposed to
Yeah, but
capital.
it's not even just that. I find a property that's run down. I find
Mm.
it disgusting. It smells like crap. There's holes in the wall and there's
Yeah.
no carpets and there's no boiler or there's no toilet and whatever. I just find the most run down property I could possibly find. I will then add value to that property
Sorry, I
and
just seen
then
another comment that just yeah. Sorry, please
and
continue.
I'd add value to that property by refurbishing it, and then I will put a mortgage on that property at 75% loan to value or 70%
Mm.
loan to value or whatever I choose. Um, and so I've paid very, very little for that property, and that property will cash flow because I will put a tenant in that property and I will look after that tenant, and that tenant will look after my property. And that's my thought process on my property investing.
Yeah.
Um, Capital growth is for me a pointless exercise
Yeah.
because, like he said, it's a very, very long game. I'm not in it for the long game. I'm in it for the next 3-4 months. Within 3-4 months, I'm going to have 500, 600, 700 pounds a month coming into my bank account. And yes, I've got to pay for the mortgage and all the rest of it. But
Yeah.
if the cash flow, the profit cash flow on that property is, 250 to 300 pounds, I'm happy because I've probably spent anywhere between £5,000 and £10,000 on that property, all in all, once I've put a mortgage on that property after buying it and refurbing it.
Okay. So just to take a look at one of these comments from Abdul again. Just curious. Do you do creative mortgages?
What's a creative mortgage?
I was about to ask that myself. Um, Now, I've heard of the term creative mortgages in the sense of, can you do certain things with the figures and that kind of stuff? in the past, when I used to work in East London, I used to get quite a few of the clients coming in and say, "Yeah, my mate just down the road there's the accountant who do like 15 pay slips, and it all looks legit. Can I get a mortgage on that?" I'm
No,
hoping
fraud,
that
fraud.
this is not what he's asking. But for every £1 you earn 80% is expensive. Again, I'm not totally sure what Abdul actually means by that either. But let's take it one stage at a time. Um, if you can define for us, Abdul, what you actually mean by a creative mortgage, then we can take it from there and then understand what the explanation is behind that. If it is what I think it is, then Ajay is regulated by the FCA, so am I, and so therefore we have to do things in accordance with the regulations, for obvious reasons. Um, Even if there are products which are not regulated, bridging loans, development finance, buy-to-lets, limited company buy-to-lets, they're not regulated, even though they're trying to regulate those, but they're still not regulated. Second charges, they're not regulated either. Uh, unless you're living in that property, then that is regulated. Then, of course, you have to then show whether you can afford those particular things, to be able to, have those products on. If you are, in an unregulated environment, as Ajay will most likely explain to you, is it's not as difficult, but you have to do that legwork. You have to do the groundwork, to be able to convince a bank that you can do this. Before brokers could make up accounts, no, definitely cannot do that. And brokers should have never been able to make up accounts.
Yeah, there's never been a situation in the history of mortgages where brokers make up accounts. It's never going to happen. It is against the law. It is mortgage fraud. You can go to prison for doing so. So if that is in your mind, stop it. Take it out of your mind and don't ever think about it again.
I would strongly recommend that you talk to an accountant to get your accounts in order. The chances are what you may feel is not income could be included as income, especially when it's network marketing. Because of the nature of network marketing is that you got more and more people underneath you, and you're generally earning from them and their work. So accounts will be able to verify that income on your behalf. And then once you got your SA 302s from that basis, then brokers can act on accordingly. No, we understand that, Abdul, that you're not in the property market. We fully appreciate that. But again, if you like, I mean, I could actually say this. Sorry about this, Ajay. There are things which are like property bonds and stuff like that you can get yourself into. That you can be a part of the property market without actually investing in the bricks and mortar element itself. So stocks and shares and so on and so forth. But that's again for something which is more of a specialist. How can I put this? Specialist requirement. You'd have to look into that in more depth. Sorry, Ajay. Guys, we've got 7 minutes left. Give us your likes, get your questions in. Ajay is a very busy guy. I know he's going to be staying awake till 2:30 this morning, trying to battle with more and more clients, I suppose. All right, Ajay. What has been your biggest sort of, how can I put this? Not your biggest challenge, but your biggest reward.
My biggest
Reward when it comes to doing mortgages or
mortgages.
producing or acting
Well,
or
I mean,
whatever endeavor you've been in.
I think my last film that I produced was up for an Oscar. I think
Wow.
that's the biggest thing, that biggest achievement I probably ever had in my life.
Please name it.
So we didn't get nominated, unfortunately, but we were up for it. Academy members did consider it. They watched it, and we were put on the long list and short list, and then unfortunately we never got nominated. But it's a movie called A Boy, a Man, and a Kite, and it's about child abuse. There is
Right.
a music producer back in the 70s, I think it was, that he was abused by his teacher at school. Very, very famous story, was in the papers. The Guardian did a massive expose on it.
Right.
And he was convicted finally in 2015 and imprisoned. I think it was 27 counts. So he was a serial offender. And basically, we told the story about his life and Stephen Endelman is a gentleman, and he partnered up. Well, actually, he came to me and said, "I want you to produce this for me," and it was the biggest honor I'd ever come across. I was so humbled. I was in LA in 2017, in November 2017. He just kind of threw this script at me, and I was taking a flight to Nashville from LA for about 4 days before coming back to LA. And I read it on the plane, and I didn't even know how to respond to him because immediately I knew it was about him. I don't know why, but immediately I just knew,
Mm.
and it was soul destroying to think about that. And so I immediately I kind of ignored him for the 4 days I was in Nashville. And then I went back to LA and I called him as soon as I landed at Burbank Airport. And I said, where are you? He told me where he was, and I bang, drove straight there from the airport, sat down with him, and I was like, this is about you, isn't it? He was like, yeah. I had tears in my eyes and I couldn't control myself. And I was just like, there is no way I will not produce this. I am going to 100% produce this. And nothing is going to stop me from doing so. So by January, we had the budget and the schedule all sorted out. And then we filmed it in April 2018. I ended up having a team of close to about 75 people in total on the whole project. And we filmed it in Harefield, which is, I guess, near Uxbridge.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we won countless awards around the world. We have many festivals that picked us up, and it was amazing to go through that journey and to share it with the people that came on board. And we had Oscar-winning production designer, Oscar-winning sound designer, Oscar-nominated production designer, Emmy award-winning director, Grammy award-winning composer. We had some really, really big names that got involved in this project simply because of the love they had. We didn't have a particularly big budget, but they were so drawn to the story.
Mm.
A lot of them knew Stephen because Stephen is a composer. He composes for many movies and television shows. And so a lot of these people did get involved with us, and I got some help from some guys over at Pinewood Studios, and we got hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of equipment for we rented it for about 2 weeks at like a fraction of what it should be rented at, and we just pulled in favors everywhere, and it was an amazing project. We then did our premiere in the Courthouse Hotel on Marble Court, just in Oxford Circus, which was it was such an amazing feeling to go through that, because the amount of work that went into this film for years almost ended up being, well, I say years, but 1 year ended up being just from our first conversation with Stephen to the day we did the premiere. It was 1 year, and it was the longest year of my life, because I moved home. My wife and I had our first baby, and it was just everything was going nuts. But it's an amazing feeling. And then the festival started rolling in, and then when we found out at the end of last year that we've been guys, you're up for a nomination, and it's like the most phenomenal feeling you can go through when you found out. And so we did a massive campaign. We didn't have enough money to do a big enough campaign. There was just no way that we'd be able to compete with some of the other movies out there. But just being considered, yes, we didn't get a nomination, but we were considered, and that for me was amazing. We did a campaign. We did, a lot of the Academy members that did end up watching the movie. We got some phenomenal feedback. And, some Academy members were like, "Oh my God, we were rooting for you. We really wanted you to get a nomination. We're so upset that not everyone voted for your film to get a nomination, but keep it going, keep up the good work." And yeah, that for me was probably the tip of the iceberg as far as film is concerned. And then mortgages, there's too many, but they're little wins. I say little wins to the client, they're massive wins, but they're little wins because I've been to 3 advisors and we've been to 7 lenders and everyone's saying no. And I'm just like, you've got to think outside the box. I'm like, you know what? I know who's going to do that.
Yeah.
I know who's going to do that. You call that lender and they're just like, right, go for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the wins with the mortgages. The little wins where you know where to place a case that's been through so many different lenders and they've all said no.
Oh God, can I say the same thing too? Been there, done that. So I know what you're talking about, except for the Oscars, but definitely understand where you're coming from in many more areas. Ajay, we're now come close, time to say goodbye to this. But in the
Mhm.
meantime, can you let people know how to get in contact with you on either, are you on IMDb for your acting side, or?
Yeah. So acting, producing, IMDb is probably the place to find me. But yeah, to get in contact with me, to be honest, all social platforms on my website. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, um, Twitter, and my website is there for the mortgage side of things.
And I also believe that you do like
Yeah,
a property investor Zoom weekly
yeah,
Zoom call.
Prosperity Networks. The Prosperity Network's an amazing guy called Danny Inman. I met Danny 5 years ago, and the moment I met him, I knew without question that if you ever want to learn about property investment or you ever want to feel inspired by a property investor, it's this guy. He's a young guy, early 30s. I think he's 33 or 34 years old, something like that. But his knowledge and his humbleness and his willingness to help just shone through. And when COVID hit, and he kind of, we were chatting like almost daily at one point, just before COVID hit, and he was just like, "Listen, do you fancy coming on one of these Zooms and giving a lender update?" And I was like, "Absolutely, no worries at all. I'll be happy to." Just to educate people on what's happened with lenders because COVID has now hit and
Mm.
who's changed, who's left the market, who hasn't left the market, and all the rest of it. So I did that, and then so that first week we ended up having so many subscribers that we had to do 3 calls in that first week. So we did the Monday, the Wednesday, and the Friday. And then the following week we went to Wednesday, and then every Wednesday we were having like 6, 7, 800 people coming on these calls, which was amazing. And then I think it was August, yeah, 1st of August, we changed to subscription-based service. So you pay a few pounds a month, and you can join the network that we have on Facebook, and then you're allocated uh, logins for a portal that we have with lots and lots of content around property investment and things like that, where so many different property investors have given their time and they've done hour videos, 2-hour videos, and we put them on the portal for people to look through and watch those videos. And then we obviously have the weekly Zoom calls every Wednesday at 6:30, and the feedback has been amazing, and being able to help so many different people has just been phenomenal. And I focus on giving the lending update, so I'll give them the lending update every Wednesday. And then in the Facebook group that we have, it's a private group for members only. Um, daily posts from seasoned property investors to beginners. Um, and it's an amazing network to be part of. It's real people doing real things, none of the
Mm.
BS. We're not trying to hard sell anyone. We're not trying to constantly upgrade and upgrade. It's not about the money. It's about giving value to people who want
Yeah.
value, and that's just called the Prosperity Network. And yeah, and get in touch if you wanna join or get any info about that. Happy to help
If
anybody.
you can, Ajay, after this is over and done with, if you'd like to just add the links in at the bottom of this,
Yeah,
the comment section, so then people can actually click into it and then go to your area. That'd be absolutely, if you can help me with that, that'd be great. And again, every
absolutely.
Monday, please feel free to advertise your business and all the other links that you're talking about, Prosperity Network, so on and so forth. This is one of the benefits of having people as part of my mortgage advisor group, is that it's not about me, even though I have got a narcissistic tendency to put my name everywhere. But the reality is I want to make sure that people are finding value in this group, so that
Yeah,
the group still keeps growing, and with people like yourself in being part of this, to be able to give your knowledge and your expertise as well as your time. And I fully appreciate everything that you've done today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have interviewed you, and feel greatly honored that you've given me this time. Guys, we're going to bring this to an end. From my point of view, next week, have a great weekend. We know that there's lockdown 2 potentially around the corner. Do not let that stop you from living your life. Do the best that you can and just enjoy it. So if you need any mortgage advice or anything like that, drop a question. We're here to help each and every one of us. This is a community, guys. So let's utilize, each other's knowledge to help one another out. Thank you for joining in tonight, and guys, have a great evening. Catch up with you guys next week. Take care. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Oh, there it is.